Have you ever noticed how some folks grow old and seem to carry the sun with them wherever they go? Their laughter rings out like it did when they were young. Their eyes sparkle with mischief. And then there are others whose faces are weighed down. Their shoulders slumped under the burden of time. It is as if life itself has worn them thin. I have seen it more times than I can count. Friends who once stood tall and proud now look like they are carrying invisible stones in their pockets. It made me wonder, what is the difference? Why do some seniors stay happy while others seem to lose their spark? The answer may surprise you. You see, it is not about money. I have known wealthy men who grew bitter with age, guarding their fortunes like dragons, trusting no one. Yet, I have also seen those with barely enough to scrape by who still share what little they have with a smile that lights up their entire face. It is not about health either. I have watched the healthiest folks fall into despair, always worried about the slightest ache or pain. Meanwhile, others face sickness with a courage that is nothing short of astounding. They adapt. They laugh. They keep going. So what is it then? What is the secret? It all comes down to one simple truth. Happiness is a choice. Now, before you roll your eyes and think I am just spouting cliches, hear me out. Choosing happiness does not mean forcing yourself to smile when you are hurting. It does not mean pretending everything is perfect. No, it means choosing how you respond to life's challenges. It means deciding what you focus on. I have known people who went through hell and back, losing loved ones, battling illness, facing disappointments that would crush most of us. Yet they still found reasons to laugh, reasons to love, reasons to live. They did not wait for happiness to find them. They went out and created it. One old friend of mine, God rest his soul, used to say, "Every day above ground is a good day." He meant it too. Even when his knees ached, even when his eyesight started to go, he would still sit on his porch and listen to the birds singing. "Those little fellas don't worry about tomorrow," he would say with a chuckle. "They are just glad to see the sun again." That man taught me more about happiness than any book ever could. He chose gratitude every single day. But here is the thing. Gratitude is not just about saying thank you out loud. It is about feeling it deep in your bones. It is about recognizing the little blessings that others might overlook. The warmth of a cup of coffee in your hands. The way the sun feels on your face. A phone call from an old friend. It is about choosing to see what is there, not what is missing. I have seen people fall into misery because they spent their days comparing. They looked at what they lost, what they did not have, who was not around anymore. But those who stayed happy, they cherished what was left. They did not take a single breath for granted. Another thing I have learned is that happy seniors do not isolate themselves. Loneliness is a heavy burden. It creeps in quietly and wraps itself around you, tightening its grip until you feel like you are disappearing. I have seen it happen to good people, proud people who did not want to be a bother. But let me tell you something. Needing people does not make you weak. It makes you human. Those who stay happy seek connection. They keep in touch with family, even when it is complicated. They call up old friends just to hear their voices. They join groups, volunteer, share stories. They understand that laughter is sweeter when it is shared. One of the happiest old women I ever knew spent her afternoons knitting blankets for strangers. She would donate them to hospitals and shelters. "I may be old," she would say with a grin, "but my hands can still bring warmth to someone who needs it." She never sat around feeling sorry for herself. She found purpose. That is another secret. Happy seniors have a reason to get out of bed each morning. It does not have to be grand. It just has to be something that makes them feel useful, needed, alive. I remember an old neighbor who lost his wife after 50 years of marriage. It broke him. For a while, he just sat on his porch, staring at nothing. But then one day, he got up, grabbed a rake, and started tidying up the local park. "She loved this place," he told me with tears in his eyes. "Keeping it beautiful. It is my way of keeping her memory alive." He turned his pain into purpose. And little by little, the light came back into his eyes. I learned then that grief is a part of life. But staying in it is a choice. I will tell you something else. Happy seniors keep learning. They stay curious. They do not let the world pass them by. I once met a man in his 80s who was learning to play the guitar. His fingers were crooked with arthritis. But he practiced every day. "Keeps my mind sharp," he said with a wink. He was right too. His laughter was as loud as his music. Those who stop learning, who stop growing, they start to wither long before their bodies give out. Life is full of wonder. No matter how old you get. But you have to be willing to look for it. Now, I am not saying it is easy. Life gets heavy. Especially as the years pile on. You lose people. You lose pieces of yourself. Your body betrays you in ways you never expected. But you do not have to lose your joy. You do not have to lose your spirit. The happiest seniors I have known were fighters. Not the kind who raise their fists. But the kind who refuse to let the darkness swallow them whole. They laugh even when it hurts. They forgive even when it is hard. They love even when they know they might lose again. They are brave souls. There is one last thing I have learned. Happy seniors do not dwell on regrets. They make peace with the past. I have met too many folks who carry old grudges to their graves, who torture themselves over mistakes they made 50 years ago. But here is the truth. You cannot change yesterday. You cannot go back and fix what is broken. All you have is right now. This moment. The people who find happiness in old age are the ones who understand that. They forgive themselves. They forgive others. They let go. Why do some seniors maintain a playful, light-hearted spirit despite physical limitations, while others become bitter? I will tell you a secret I have learned over the years. It is not about how much pain you feel. It is about how you carry it. I knew a man once who had lost his leg in an accident. Every step he took was a reminder of what he could no longer do. But he refused to let it steal his joy. "I still have one good leg," he would say with a grin. "That is more than enough to dance." And he did. He would sway and twirl at every party, leaning on his crutches with a laugh that filled the room. He chose to focus on what he had left, not what was taken from him. That was his secret. Gratitude. You see, gratitude is not just about saying thank you. It is about feeling thankful deep down in your bones. It is about noticing the small blessings that others overlook. I have known people who could barely get out of bed some days. Yet they still found joy in the warmth of the morning sun on their face or the sound of birds singing outside their window. They did not take a single breath for granted. And because of that, they stayed light-hearted. They stayed playful. They knew that life, no matter how difficult, was still a gift. Then there are the folks who let bitterness take root. It usually starts small. Maybe they feel cheated by life. Maybe they expected things to be different, easier. And when those expectations are not met, they start to resent what is. They focus on what they have lost. What hurts? Who is not around anymore? And the more they focus on it, the heavier it gets. Until one day, they find themselves unable to laugh. Unable to see the good. I have watched it happen, and it is a heartbreaking thing to see. Because the truth is, we all face hardships. We all get knocked down. But the happy ones? They get back up. They find something to smile about, even through the tears. I remember an old woman who had arthritis so bad her hands were twisted and swollen. She could not do half the things she used to love. But she still laughed. Oh, how she laughed. She would watch children play and giggle like she was one of them. "I may be old on the outside," she would say with a wink. "But inside, I am still young and mischievous." That was her secret. She did not let her body define her spirit. She chose to see herself as more than her limitations. She chose to stay young at heart. That is another thing I have learned. Playfulness is a state of mind. It is about staying curious. It is about finding joy in the simplest things. I have seen old men tell silly jokes just to hear someone laugh. I have seen grandmothers make funny faces to entertain their grandchildren. They do not take themselves too seriously. They are not afraid of looking foolish. They are not weighed down by pride or ego. They just want to enjoy the moment. And because of that, they do. But most of all, they stay connected. They keep people close. They reach out. They share stories, laughter, even tears. They do not isolate themselves. They understand that joy is meant to be shared. I have known too many bitter souls who shut themselves off from the world, either out of pride or fear of being a burden. Loneliness ate them up from the inside out. But the playful ones? They stayed surrounded by love. They knew that laughter sounds sweeter when shared with others. So why do some seniors stay playful while others grow bitter? It is not luck. It is not circumstance. It is a choice. A choice to be grateful for what is left, instead of mourning what is lost. A choice to see life as a gift, even when it is hard. A choice to stay connected, to laugh, to love, and to live. It is a choice to carry pain lightly, like a feather, instead of letting it weigh you down like a stone. How does forgiveness, of oneself and others, affect a senior's emotional health and overall happiness? I knew a man once who was angry his whole life. Angry at his father for never showing him love. Angry at his brother for a betrayal that happened decades ago. Angry at himself for the mistakes he could not undo. He held on to all that anger as if it was a shield protecting him from pain. But what he did not realize was that it was only hurting him. I watched him grow old and bitter. Even in his last days, he could not find peace. He was surrounded by people who cared for him, but he could not feel their love because his heart was too full of resentment. On the other hand, I have known folks who faced terrible wrongs, betrayals, losses, pain that could have destroyed them. But they chose to forgive. Not because the person who hurt them deserved it, but because they deserved peace. They understood that forgiveness is not about letting the other person off the hook. It is about setting yourself free. When they forgave, they let go of the anger that was weighing them down. They made room for joy, for love, for laughter. I saw them live the rest of their days with light in their eyes and smiles on their faces. They did not carry the past like a burden. They walked freely into every new day. Forgiving others is one thing. But forgiving yourself? That is the hardest part. I struggled with it myself for a long time. You see, when you reach a certain age, you start looking back. You see all the things you wish you had done differently. The people you hurt. The moments you missed. It is easy to get stuck there, replaying old mistakes over and over until you feel like you do not deserve to be happy. I have seen people fall into that trap. They punish themselves for the past by refusing to let themselves enjoy the present. They push people away because they believe they are not worthy of love. It is a lonely way to live. But then there are those who learn to forgive themselves. They understand that being human means being imperfect. That they did the best they could with what they knew at the time. And even if they made terrible mistakes, they are still deserving of happiness. I watched an old friend go through this journey. For years, he was haunted by the memory of a broken relationship with his son. He kept blaming himself for every harsh word, every missed opportunity. But then one day he looked at me and said, "I cannot go back and change it. But I can love him better today." From that moment on, he stopped punishing himself for the past. He called his son, asked for forgiveness, and started rebuilding their bond. I watched the guilt and sorrow leave his face. In its place, there was peace. A peace that made him glow. That is the gift of forgiveness. It heals. It lightens your heart. It frees you from the prison of regret. When you forgive, you give yourself permission to move forward, to live fully. I think that is why the happiest seniors I know are the ones who forgive easily. They do not carry grudges. They do not dwell on old hurts. They understand that life is too short to spend it angry or resentful. They focus on the love they have today, not the pain they felt yesterday. And because of that, they laugh more. They connect more. They live more. I will tell you something else. Forgiveness is not a one-time thing. It is a choice you make every day. Sometimes the old hurt comes back, and you have to choose to let it go again. And again. It is a process. But each time you forgive, it gets a little easier. Your heart gets a little lighter. And your spirit becomes a little freer. In what ways does the mindset about aging itself influence happiness? And how can one adopt a more positive outlook on growing old? I have watched people who see aging as a curse. They dread every birthday, counting wrinkles as if they are marks of defeat. They talk about the past as if their best days are behind them. They focus on the aches, the pains, the losses. They let fear of the future rob them of joy in the present. These folks become prisoners of their own thoughts. They grow weary not because of the years they have lived, but because of the burden they carry in their minds. Then there are those who embrace aging with open arms. They see every gray hair as a badge of wisdom, every wrinkle as a story well lived. They laugh at their aches and call them reminders that they are still alive. They do not mourn the past, but celebrate the fact that they were blessed to live it. These people radiate joy, curiosity, and gratitude. They live fully, not despite their age but because of it. And let me tell you, their energy is contagious. I once knew a woman named Mary. She was in her 80s, and her body had grown frail. But her spirit? It was fierce. She would sit on her porch every morning, watching the sunrise with a smile on her face. One day, I asked her how she managed to stay so cheerful despite her physical limitations. She looked at me and said, "Oh honey, I may be old, but I am still alive. And as long as I am alive, there is something to be happy about." That was her secret. She focused on what she still had instead of what she had lost. You see, aging is not just about growing old. It is about growing. Period. If you look at it as a decline, you will feel defeated before your body ever gives out. But if you see it as a journey of learning, loving, and living, you will find reasons to smile every single day. The happiest seniors I know are the ones who keep growing. They learn new skills. They explore new places, even if it is just a different street in their neighborhood. They make new friends. They find new hobbies. They refuse to let their age define their limits. I remember meeting an old man named Joe at a community center. He was learning how to paint. His hands were shaky, and his eyesight was not what it used to be, but he painted anyway. When I asked him why he took up painting at his age, he laughed and said, "Why not? I have got the time, and I have got the stories. Might as well put them on canvas." He did not worry about whether his paintings were perfect. He just enjoyed the process. And in doing so, he kept his spirit young. If you want to be happy as you grow older, you have to let go of the fear of aging. Stop seeing it as an end and start seeing it as a continuation. A chance to do the things you never had time for before. A time to reflect on the life you have lived and to make peace with it. A season to share your wisdom with the younger generations. Do not waste your days dreading what you cannot change. Embrace it. Live it. But how do you adopt this positive outlook? Well, it starts with gratitude. Every morning, before you get out of bed, think of 3 things you are grateful for. They do not have to be grand. It could be as simple as waking up to another day. The warmth of the sun on your face. A call from a loved one. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you have lost to what you still have. And once you start seeing the good, you will find more and more of it. Another powerful tool is staying connected. I have seen too many seniors isolate themselves because they feel like they do not belong anymore. They think they have outgrown their place in the world. But the truth is, the world needs them. Their stories, their wisdom, their laughter. Reach out to your family, your friends, your neighbors. Join a community group. Volunteer. Share your experiences. When you stay connected, you stay relevant. And when you feel relevant, you feel alive. I will tell you something else. You have to find humor in life. Laugh at your mistakes. Laugh at your aches and pains. Laugh at yourself. Do not take aging so seriously. It is just another part of life's journey. I remember one morning when I forgot where I put my glasses. I spent half an hour searching the house, only to find them on top of my head. I could have been frustrated, but I just burst out laughing. It was a silly moment, and I allowed myself to enjoy the humor in it. Laughter keeps the spirit light. It keeps you young inside. Most importantly, let go of regrets. Do not waste your golden years carrying the weight of the past. You cannot go back and change anything, but you can choose how you move forward. Make peace with your mistakes. Forgive yourself. Forgive others. When you let go of bitterness, you make room for joy. I am telling you this not just because I have read about it, but because I have lived it. I have seen friends grow old and grumpy because they feared aging. And I have seen others live with joy because they embraced it. I chose to be like them. I chose to see every sunrise as a gift, every wrinkle as a lesson learned, every gray hair as a reminder that I have survived all my bad days. Growing old is not for the faint of heart, but it is a privilege. Not everyone gets to do it. So why waste it by living in fear or bitterness? Choose to see the beauty in it. Choose to grow, to laugh, to love. Choose to live fully, no matter how many candles are on your birthday cake. Because at the end of the day, aging is just a number. Happiness is a choice. And the choice is yours. Why do some seniors maintain hope and resilience despite life's challenges, while others fall into despair? You see, life is not fair. It never has been, and it never will be. I have lost people I loved dearly. I have faced illness, failure, and heartbreak. But I also learned that it is not about what happens to you. It is about how you respond to it. Those who maintain hope do not do so because they are spared from pain. They do it because they decide to find light even in the darkest of times. They understand that despair is a trap, and the only way out is to hold on to hope, no matter how small it feels. I remember an old friend named Sam. Life had been cruel to him. He lost his wife to illness, his son moved far away, and his body was failing him. Yet, every time I visited him, he was smiling. I once asked him how he managed to stay so positive. He looked at me with his tired eyes and said, "I choose to focus on what I still have instead of what I have lost." That was his secret. Gratitude. He chose to see his son's success as a blessing, even if it meant they were miles apart. He chose to remember the love he shared with his wife instead of the pain of losing her. He chose to appreciate every sunrise because it meant he was still alive. Hope and resilience come from within. It is a decision to see beyond the pain. To believe that even if today is hard, tomorrow might bring something better. I have known people who lost everything. Their homes, their health, even their dreams. But they did not lose themselves. They held on to hope because they understood that life is ever-changing. Just as winter gives way to spring, pain gives way to healing. It is this belief that keeps the flame of hope burning, even in the darkest nights. But there are those who fall into despair. I have seen it happen. It breaks my heart because I know it does not have to be that way. They get stuck in the past, reliving their pain over and over again. They let anger, bitterness, and regret consume them. They close themselves off from the world, choosing loneliness over connection. They see challenges as curses instead of opportunities to grow. And slowly, their hope withers away, leaving them empty and defeated. I once knew a man named George. He was a good man, but life had been hard on him. He lost his job, his health declined, and his friends drifted away. He became bitter, blaming the world for his misery. He refused to seek help, refused to adapt, and refused to let go of his anger. Despair wrapped around him like a dark cloud, and no amount of encouragement could break through. He lost his fight, not because of his circumstances, but because of his mindset. If you want to maintain hope and resilience, you have to let go of what you cannot control. You cannot change the past, but you can change how you respond to it. You cannot escape pain, but you can choose how you carry it. You cannot control others, but you can control yourself. Hope is born from acceptance, from the courage to face life as it is and still believe in better days. I am telling you this because I have been through my own storms. I have faced loneliness, loss, and despair. But I made a choice. I chose to fight back. I chose to see pain as a teacher, not an enemy. I chose to reach out for help when I could not stand alone. I chose to forgive life for its cruelty and to find peace within myself. That is how I survived. That is how I found hope. You have to surround yourself with hope. Talk to people who lift you up. Read stories of those who overcame adversity. Focus on what you can do, not on what you cannot. Even when life feels heavy, find small reasons to smile. A blooming flower, a child's laughter, a warm cup of tea. These little things remind you that life is still beautiful, even when it is hard. Do not be afraid to seek help. Whether it is from a friend, a counselor, or even a stranger, reaching out does not make you weak. It makes you human. We are meant to support each other. I would not have made it through my toughest days without the love and understanding of those around me. Hope grows stronger when it is shared. Can we learn to be happy as we age, or is it a trait that only certain personalities can master? You see, life does not get easier as the years go by. In fact, it often gets harder. We lose people we love. Our bodies do not work the way they used to. Dreams that once seemed so close slip through our fingers. It is easy to become bitter, to feel like life has cheated you. I have met many people who let pain and disappointment steal their joy. But I have also met others who, despite all they have lost, still smile, still laugh, still find beauty in each day. And the difference is not in what happened to them, but in how they chose to respond. Happiness is a habit, just like complaining is. If you wake up each morning thinking about all that is wrong with your life, you will find plenty to be unhappy about. But if you wake up with gratitude, counting even the smallest blessings, you will find that happiness starts to grow. I remember an old friend named Mary. She lost her husband and faced many health problems. Yet, she was one of the happiest souls I ever met. When I asked her how she stayed so cheerful, she said, "I focus on what I have, not on what I have lost." She chose to see the good, even when life gave her every reason to be sad. Learning to be happy means training your mind to see the light even in the darkness. It is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about accepting that life is imperfect and choosing to find joy anyway. I have learned that no matter how bad things get, there is always something to be grateful for. A warm meal, a kind smile, a quiet moment of peace. When you practice gratitude every day, it changes you. It shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present. But some people believe that only certain personalities can be happy. They think you need to be naturally optimistic or carefree. I disagree. I was not always a happy person. I used to dwell on my mistakes, carry grudges, and worry about things that never happened. It took me years to realize that happiness is not about what you have or even who you are. It is about what you do. It is about letting go of resentment, forgiving others, and most importantly, forgiving yourself. Happiness comes from acceptance. Accepting who you are, where you are, and what your life is. I have wrinkles now, and my body aches more than it used to. But I have learned to see them as signs of a life well lived. I do not mourn my youth because I know I was blessed to have it. I do not fear growing older because each day is a gift. It is all about perspective. The more you fight against life's changes, the more miserable you become. But when you learn to flow with it, to embrace every season, happiness becomes possible. You can learn to be happy at any age, but you have to want it. You have to make a conscious effort every day. It means letting go of regrets, choosing forgiveness, practicing gratitude, and surrounding yourself with positive people. It means finding joy in simple things. A walk in the park, a good book, a heartfelt conversation. It means laughing at yourself, not taking life too seriously, and remembering that nothing lasts forever. Not even pain. I have seen people in their 90s who are happier than some in their 20s. It is not about age. It is about mindset. It is about deciding that no matter what life throws at you, you will not let it steal your joy. I once met a man who lost his leg in an accident. When I asked him how he stayed so positive, he said, "I could spend my days feeling sorry for myself, or I could be grateful that I am still here. I choose gratitude." That is the secret. It is a choice. So can we learn to be happy as we age? Absolutely. It takes work, patience, and practice. It takes letting go of the past and embracing the present. It takes choosing love over bitterness, hope over fear, gratitude over complaints. But it is possible. I know because I have lived it. And if I can learn it, so can you. Happiness is not a trait reserved for the lucky ones. It is a journey we all can take, no matter where we start or how old we are. If you liked today's discussion, don't forget to like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to stay updated with every video we release. And yes, don't forget to share your experiences and thoughts in the comments. Every comment is special to us. Your feedback helps us improve further. We'll continue to meet you in every new video on this channel, so until next time, take care.